Well, hello, my paranormal peeps, and welcome back to another Deep Woods Paranormal Podcast. My name is Matt Harvey. I am the founder of Deep Woods Paranormal, and I'm also the host of the Deep Woods Paranormal Podcast. Today we have on a guest who actually is related to the Warrens. If this thing will let me do this. His name is Russell. He runs Beyond Life Paranormal. He is also a podcaster, and so today we're going to have him on to talk a little bit about, of course, Annabelle and his thoughts on Annabelle, and tell us about his life with the Warrens, and then talk about his research as well. So he's mainly a ghost hunter, but he also does a little bit of cryptid research and other stuffs. So with that, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Russell Reynolds. I'm the founder of Beyond Life Paranormal Research Missouri. I'm also the team lead for Cold Spotters Missouri, which is a group out of British Columbia, Canada, that has teams all over the world. I've been researching the paranormal for 31 years now.
Damn.
It's been a long time. My paranormal journey started at the age of 6 years old.
Damn, your journey sounds just like mine. Keep going.
In a house that I lived in. We moved into this house. My parents were renting it with the option to buy. I was about 6. My sister was about 4. And strange things would happen throughout this house. My dad would wake up, heat be turned down, he'd be freezing, thinking us kids playing with thermostat. We're too small to even reach it. Stuff would be moved around on the shelves. My mom thinks us kids are playing on the shelves, and again, we were too small to reach it, so
Wow.
Dog would dig at the wall and bark and growl at absolutely nothing. About 3 o'clock in the morning, my room was upstairs, and I heard this noise, and I woke up, and I look, and I see a full-bodied apparition standing in my doorway looking at me. And I was like one of those kids that take the blanket, put it over your head. It's not.
Yep.
And then I got the curiosity to look again, and it was gone.
Oh no! You got to go. That's it. That's all you get.
Yep. Water would turn on in this house. Toilets would flush on its own. Lights would flicker. Everything in this house was original. I had the old skeleton key locks, and the car one morning, my parents woke up and the car outside was running with no keys in the ignition. Now, this was long before auto start came out. This is talking late 80s.
Wow.
And couldn't figure out why. And then there was a room that had been sealed up behind a wall, and we didn't know about it at the time. And the attic had been sealed up. My dad was going to rip this wall out, and that was the same wall the dog was digging at. But he never ended up doing it. We ended up moving out because my mom couldn't take it any more of the paranormal activity that was going on, and she was worried about us kids. So several people would move into this place and then wouldn't stay very long. They'd move out.
Wow.
And when I hit probably about, I want to say 15 or 16, a group had bought it from New York City and remodeled the house, and they ripped open that wall and found a secret room behind the wall, and opened the attic up, and they found Civil War money, bayonets, rifles, maps, uniforms, and they found hospital equipment. Well, come to find out, the house used to be a Civil War base and hospital.
Dang. And tell them a little bit about where you're from, too, so they can kind of understand.
I'm from the southern part of New York, from the Catskill Mountains. My town that I lived in was like the border of Pennsylvania and New York.
Okay. Old
1800s town.
Mm-hmm.
Also haunted. It had a haunted hotel right there in town that I was always fascinated by. It had 2 confirmed deaths. Back in the 1800s, a wife had shot her husband right out on the front step because he was cheating on her.
Oh, jeez.
And then back in my early 20s, the owner was going to sell a gun to a guy, never bothered to check if the gun was loaded, and his waitress come walking through the door and the gun went off. Shot and killed his waitress right there in the dining room.
Dang.
So
that's crazy. So tell us a little bit about your thoughts with the Warrens. Of course, are gone, unfortunately. But with the Annabelle doll being kind of paraded around the United States, what were your thoughts on that?
I'm not real too inclined to talk about that too much, being I'm related to him. There is,
I don't mean you to, I mean just what were your thoughts? What were
my
your
thoughts
feelings
on
on it for
Annabelle.
you?
I've been around Annabelle.
Mm-hmm.
Annabelle, that case that she's in, Dan built that case himself. That varnish that's on that case is layered in holy water.
Wow.
And there's the Lord's Prayer inscribed in the case. There's blessed salt inside that case. When they take that object, that case out to show people, that was Ed and Lorraine's wishes. They wanted people to learn about these items, to be educated by them, because Ed and Lorraine knew people couldn't get to the museum to learn about them. They used to do an evening with Annabelle and take Annabelle to lectures, take the other objects, so they could expose the demonic, what the demonic can do with these items. And with Annabelle, everybody's perfectly safe around her. When you go to see her, you cannot get up to her. You cannot touch that case. Those items are put to sleep. There's a lot of safety precautions that they do before the public even enters in there. They do a lot of prayers. These items are basically put to sleep even before they leave the Warren's Occult Museum. And when they travel with them, they don't acknowledge them. That's why if you see in the videos, you see a black sheet over them. That keeps them quiet. They're put to sleep. If you look on the sheet itself, there's crucifixes on it. And the thing with Dan, when he moved it, he only moved that doll once. That was to move her to her new case, because the old one that Ed had built was falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
So they moved her to that new one, and they don't move her at all after that. They don't reach in that case. They don't touch her. She just stays right there.
Wow.
So, I mean, if you challenge her, she will hurt you.
Oh,
But they make sure you don't, and they do that safety precautions. That's why they have a priest that travels with them as well.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
The priest went cross country with them for that fact.
So, what were your thoughts on him dying, though, after the whole thing?
That's, like I said, that's another touchy subject for me, because Dan and I were close.
Yeah.
So it was a shocker for everybody. Dan was family to me as well.
Yeah. Do you think, let me just put it this way, do you think if Annabelle had anything to do with it?
No.
No,
Annabelle
okay.
didn't have nothing to do with it.
Okay. All right. That's all I can ask you about that. All right. Well, tell us more about your research. I know what got you started into it, because you're like me, but what do you research? Where do you research? What's some of the coolest locations you've researched?
We do a lot of residential cases.
Mm-hmm.
Our main goal is to help people with paranormal activity in their homes.
Mm-hmm.
We also deal with the darker stuff, the demonic stuff. But they're very rare in cases, residential cases, but it does happen on occasion. We've dealt with a few. But that's where our main goal is helping people with paranormal activity. We do some events, like we've done Missouri State Penitentiary, we've done Waverly Hills Sanatorium, Pythian Castle.
How did you like Waverly?
Oh, I loved Waverly. For us, it lived up to its name.
Mm-hmm.
Most haunted place in America.
What did you experience?
We did a little role play in the 4th floor surgery room.
Oh no!
And I decided to lay on the surgery table and had somebody wheel me under the light, playing like I was sick. I was coughing. They were yelling for a doctor that we were going to lose them. And we had a motion light sitting in the doorway. Well, that kicks on.
Wow.
And then we hear some noises. I go to sit up, and I couldn't move.
Oh no.
I was being pinned to the surgery table. I couldn't move my legs, my arms. It felt like someone had taken their hand or holding me by the chest. And so shortly after that, we hear 2 loud female screams in the hallway just outside the door. And we were there with another team that had invited us. So my notion was, hey, text that other team and find out where they're at, because it could be one of them, because they had females in their group.
Mm-hmm.
And they answered back. They were on the opposite side of the building up on the roof on the 5th floor doing an Estes method.
Wow.
So they were nowhere near us. And then coming back, because you can only investigate till 4 a.m., we were walking down the hallway, and this white figure, probably about 5 foot tall, comes running directly at us and blows in between two of us.
Wow.
You could feel the static charge make your hair stand up on your arms, and you could feel that cold breeze. Turn back to look because we were like in shock, like what the hell was that? And it was gone.
Yeah.
The other team come in behind us, and we asked them, "Did you see anything come down that hallway?" They said, "No, we
Yeah.
never saw it." And then the body chute, we went to the body chute all the way to the bottom, and we were standing down there asking questions, doing an EVP session, and we hear the gate up top. Sounds like it shuts.
Oh, wow.
That gate's been rusted open, so it doesn't move.
Hmm.
Yelled up hello to anybody up there. Nobody answered us. And then we were snapping still photos, and each photo, this black mass was filling up the whole body chute, kept coming down at us.
Wow. Sounds like it's a combination of residual and...
Yeah, there's some residual. 502, we didn't experience anything in 502.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody seems to experience a lot. We didn't get nothing to go on up there.
So tell us about room 502 for people that don't know.
502 was the room where the nurse of Waverly, she was supposedly having an affair with the doctor, and the doctor had gotten her pregnant, and she couldn't take it anymore, and she committed suicide in 502. She hung herself.
Yeah.
And for people that's never been to Waverly with tuberculosis, none of them doctors or nurses were allowed to leave. They had to live there because of the way tuberculosis was running rampant.
Yeah.
They were afraid. There was also another nurse that dove off the side of the building because she had a newborn son, and the only way she could see him was her husband had to drive into the parking lot and get out of the car, pick him up, and she'd have to stand on the catwalks of the Waverly and look over the catwalks down to her son.
Dang.
Told them she couldn't do nothing because she was trapped in there.
Yeah. That's crazy.
First floor, we had a man that was cussing at us on a spirit box, and then he was setting the mel meter with REM pod off, and 2 K2s all in sync with each other all the way around the table.
Wow.
And the little history on him, I guess he wasn't friendly when he was alive, so he's just being that way when he's dead. And then I did manage to see the creeper Waverly.
Really? What did you see?
He's a black figure that crawls across the floor. He was crawling across the outer catwalks on the 4th floor when we started off, and we seen him looking at us, and I called my one friend over, and I'm like, "Hey, keep the camera pointed at. I'm gonna head towards it." And as soon as I headed towards it, it saw me coming at him, went up over the catwalk and down to the next floor.
Dang. Is he like on all fours or?
Yeah, he's on all fours. Yeah, they believe that he was a man that was in there in a wheelchair, and he had tuberculosis real bad. He would go down to maintenance each week to get his wheelchair oiled. Well, the one day he went down there and he was yelling for somebody, nobody was in there, and he ended up accidentally wheeling himself off the loading dock and face planted out onto the pavement and died.
Oh, jeez.
So they figured he's probably the creeper because he's paralyzed from the waist down, so the only thing he'd be able to do is crawl.
Yeah. Yeah, that's sad. Well, what other cool locations have you been to?
Missouri State's another good one. We've done that 3 times. We were there.
What activity have you experienced in there?
First time we were there, we experienced a woman down in the dungeon yelling hello.
Wow.
And they never housed women down in the dungeon cells down there. There was only one man housed down there, and that was JB the Firebug. He was housed down there for 18 years for arson.
Wow.
Because he set the prison on fire, killing a bunch of inmates.
Jesus.
And then we captured a picture of Robert Burdella, known as the Kansas City Butcher, who was housed there in the prison museum, which is the old warden's house down in the basement.
Dang.
And my dad, he went up to the mannequin and shook the mannequin's hand, and he didn't realize it at that time. Something had grabbed him right here by the arm, and he had like 5 finger bruises on his arm.
Dang.
So, and then that night, another experience we had, we were in Cell House 4, and this other team that was also with us, 2 of their members wanted to come with us, and we were like, well, if you're the type that gets scared, you may not want to go with us because I'm sure we're going to experience something.
All right.
And she's like, no, I like how you guys investigate. I've watched you guys online and stuff. And I was like, all right. So we're in Cell House 4, and prior to that, at dinner, my dad told that girl, you're going to get touched tonight in that prison.
Wow.
So she kept seeing a shadow figure darting in and out of the cells up top. So I was like, all right, keep an eye on it. I'll head up there and I'll go above you guys and see if I can find it. So I go up on the catwalks and I start pacing the catwalks like a guard, and I get up above them, right behind them, and I hear her yell, God damn it, something grabbed my leg. I was like, don't take offense to this, but you're a woman in a cell house full
Right.
of prisoners that haven't seen women in probably 40 or to 50 years.
Yep.
Of course they're going to come after you. And she was a black girl, and Cell House 4 was a black housing cell house.
Wow.
And that's one of the older cell houses of Missouri State. So after that, we get to solitary confinement, which is Cell House 3. And we get up on the catwalks and start walking the catwalk. And you can hear each one of the cell doors in front of us slamming.
Wow.
We're shining a light down there, and every one of them are propped open.
Crazy.
So there's a lot of residual
Mm-hmm.
in there that we experienced. The second time we went was the Devils on the Run tour, when Nesper brought some of the objects out and Get Haunted come out, and they did an event out there, and we were investigating in groups for a little bit with Get Haunted and Nesper, and we started down in the museum part they had in Cell House 4 up top, with Wade explaining the items and stuff, and then we went downstairs to the dungeon, to the cell we call it the in-your-face cell.
Wow.
Because when you're in that cell, you got something that's constantly, if you're in there in the dark, you'll see a figure directly in your face, a black shadow figure.
Yep.
And so they were doing an Estes method down there. Dan was asking questions, and meanwhile, they were picking up on the Warrens' artifacts that were upstairs.
Wow.
And they picked up Cell 20 and several other things. So we ended up switching out, and then we went to Cell Housing 3 and went down to 3D, whereas they house the criminally insane inmates. And this is where I first seen the human pendulum being used.
Huh.
And you take 3 people, you got one on this end, one on this end, and one in the middle. The one in the middle is the pendulum. And close your eyes, you clear your mind, and the 2 in the front are just stop you. You're the pendulum rocking back and forth. And it's yes and no questions. And so we started doing that, and my good buddy Joe from Next of Kin Paranormal asked, is there somebody you want to talk to in here? And the person ended up rocking forward for yes. And then we started going through each name, and it wanted to talk to me.
Really?
This spirit had remembered me from being there the year before.
Oh, wow.
And she wanted to talk to me. She thought I was nice, and I guess I resembled somebody she might have known.
Yeah.
And so we kept seeing a shadow peeking around this door frame. And Joe's son Dom, he's good little investigator, he kept running down there, and we're like, Tom, stay still. He was getting excited. I was like, stay
Yeah.
still. You've got a camera pointed at it. You'll catch it. Just watch it. So we let the rest of the newbies start playing around with the dowsing rods and doing their thing. Me, Dom, and a couple others, we went down there and just sat there and watched. And this shadow just kept going like this around the door, just kept looking at us.
Yep.
There's a spirit down there they call Big Boy.
Mm-hmm.
Stands about 7 feet tall.
Yep. Yeah, my friend, one of my researchers, she left our group and then she went and bought that place. Sharon.
Oh, okay.
We know Sharon real well. Yeah.
Yep. And
crazy place.
So after that, we went on free roam. So we decided we're going to go down to the dungeon and try to do an Estes method back in the in your face cell, where we let one person that was an investigator do it, but only we didn't use the spirit box. We put on the noise canceling headphones and the blindfold, and we tapped into our third eye, our sixth sense, and see what we could pick up in our mind's eye. And we'd let somebody ask questions, but if we heard them, we wouldn't answer.
Yeah.
And the first one that did it, 6 grown men went running out of there because
Dang.
they tapped into something that made them start cussing, and
Wow.
it was angry. So we let a newbie try it, and they couldn't figure out how to tap into their third eye. So I took over, and I put the blindfold on, and I started picking up on cell number 20, and then housed in here for 18 years. I picked up on fire, and come to find out, I tapped into JB the firebug.
Wow.
And not many people can get JB to talk. And I was later able to confirm by Wade that cell number 20 was where they were storing all the Nesper items and stuff for the event. They had them in cell 20. And so there was a spirit of a man that was housed there in 20 that died there, and he wasn't very happy that they were putting stuff in his cell, and he didn't like all the people being around.
Wow.
So he would go down to the dungeon where it was quiet.
Yeah. He's like, I just want you all out of here. Just go away.
And we were just there. This was several weekends ago. We were there for a book signing. These Walls Still Talk with Brian Pioni and Get Haunted, and we were with Empty Casket Paranormal. Started off in Cell House 3 up in Death Row, and my dad kept seeing the shadows kept darting in and out of the cells.
Wow.
And Brian's daughter was able to capture it on film. So we kind of split up in groups. I took 2 with me, 3 of them with me, and I went around to the other side of Death Row, and the other group stayed on this side of Death Row. Well, went laid in one of the cells and laid on one of the bunks. And you could feel like you shouldn't be doing this.
Oh, no.
The hair just started raising up on my arms, and my friend Ashley was standing in the doorway, and she felt something grab her arm.
Oh, geez.
So they kept seeing a shadow down at the other end of the corridor, and that was where the rat cell was, where the inmate got stabbed in front of a guard.
Wow.
And so we headed down that way. Ashley walks through the one cell door. She feels this on the top of her head, like a cobweb feeling.
Right.
And then I come shortly behind her, and it felt like something brushed against my arm, like the cobweb feeling. Took the light, shined it around, no cobwebs. Talked to Sheila, the head prison boss. She says, I just had inmates in here and cleaned this prison about a week ago. There's no cobwebs. And so we're like, all right. I said, well, we both just got touched on the arm. And so we ended up after that, we went down to the dungeon with Rob and Brian from Get Haunted, and we were doing a EVP sessions down there. So Rob asked, anybody want to go in the in your face cell by yourself solo and do an EVP session? Nobody would bite to it.
Right.
Rob says to me, you want to do it, my man? I said, I'll do it. I said, I've been here before, so I did, and Brian's daughter, she actually got it on, filmed it, and we played it back, and we did capture an EVP on there, 2 of them.
That's cool, man.
So we decided to do a little trick Rob did. He said, let's go lights out and see if we can experience a shadow play. And you could see like all these little light anomalies each time when we went dark. We'd see these red light anomalies. We'd see white. And then Brian's daughter was standing with her dad next to him. She felt something grab her leg.
Oh, jeez.
And I'm standing right directly across from her. Jeez. And I said to her, I said, there's a shadow figure right in front of us. I said, and she started freaking out, and I was like, just stay calm. You're okay. And her dad's holding her. And then shortly after that, this big old bright white light appears behind Brian and his daughter, like somebody had lit a flashlight. It lit up the whole cell block. I could see everybody that was in that cell block.
Wow.
First time I've ever experienced that being at Missouri State.
Huh.
And I thought Brian had hit his flashlight on, and it even shined Rob in the face. Rob was sitting on the floor right next to Brian. It was an amazing experience.
I bet. Hey, so we're running out of time here. You have about 5 minutes. Go ahead and keep going. Maybe tell us one more story, and then we'll have to wrap this up.
All right. Another place we did was the Hans Mill Massacre Site, which is an old Mormon massacre site here in Missouri. And we went out the night of the anniversary, which the anniversary of the massacre is the night before Halloween.
Oh, wow.
And we were out there, and we had motion lights set up on all the tree stumps out there. And I had my millimeter with REM pod. My millimeter was spiking. REM pod was... And it ended up coming out, and it ended up spiking for some reason. Now, there's no electricity down there whatsoever at Hans Mill.
Right.
So we couldn't figure out for the life of us what was going on. And all of a sudden, the spirit box started going crazy. It was like we were being surrounded.
Dang.
And we stayed there for about another couple hours. It was cold. It was pretty cold here in Missouri. And so we ended up packing up, going. And I look, and we had a new girl with us that's never been, this was her first paranormal investigation. Turn and look, and there's a black figure standing behind her.
Oh, no.
And I didn't want to tell her. She turned and looked, and she started crying. So we ended up walking back to the vehicles.
Yeah.
And as we're walking, we hear something whistle at us. Turn around and look, and she's like, don't turn around and look. That's how horror movies start. I'm like, we're paranormal investigators. That's what we do.
Yeah.
We're not going to be afraid of it.
Right.
And so after that night, we ended up leaving. We're going back for a while now, but because every time the anniversary comes on, it's either during the week or so we're waiting again until it comes back on Friday again so we can go down there again.
That makes sense. We definitely have paranormal activity going on between the two of us. I think while you were talking, I felt a cold hand behind my back. It just like something came up and just touched my back. It was trying to drain me. I have a lot of haunted objects behind us here on the shelves and the dolls.
I've noticed
That one up in the middle, the one up in right in like the middle of my head here, this one here, she is
Yep.
creepy as hell.
Yep.
I keep the hat down on her head because if you look at the eyes, they literally feel like they aren't turning, but they feel like they're following you all around the room. She's just inquisitive. And the little one with the red shirt, dress on, she's mischievous as hell. So I don't know which one it is, but
I just
I could tell it was messing with your mic for a minute there. It was like, okay. And she was standing behind me. Sometimes she stands like right next to me here. Sometimes she stands behind me.
Mhm.
Every once in a while when I'm doing the podcast, I get EVPs in here. So I always tell people, listen back for the EVPs. Also, so people know, our listeners know, if you hear the new word newbie, that just is somebody that's never been on an investigation or is just new to the field, and they're still learning what is going on and maybe never been to a haunted location, and they're just trying to get their feet wet and figure out if this is something they want to do. Because it's not for everybody. I guarantee you that.
No, she never went back. That was her first and very last one.
Right. Well, thank you so much. We have Russell with Beyond Life Paranormal. Guys, his link to his website will be down below. Go check out his podcast if you would. Go give him some love. And Russell, we appreciate you coming on today, and we'll have to have you back. I'm sure you have a lot more stories. If you're like me, I think like me, you probably have hundreds of stories, if not thousands of stories. We could talk for hours and hours and hours. But I appreciate you sharing your experiences. Next time we'll talk about some of your cryptid experiences too. I'd love to hear about that.
Yeah, we got a good interesting one just recently that happened. So
awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, and we will catch you on the next one.